Hello and welcome to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. This is Colleen Beamish from Humor Bean Cards, and today I'm making an elegant card featuring some new products from Honeybee Stamps. First is the Lovely Layers Bird Bath die set, and this allows you to create a beautiful, detailed bird bath for your card, which will be the focal point of my card today. I also have the So Special Sentiments set here, and that has so many beautiful sentiments, some geared towards Mother's Day, others that are thank you, and just letting people know that they are special to you. I also have the coordinating die set for those sentiments, which I like how those cut out the exact shape of the stamp. And then lastly, I have the Always and Forever rubber stamp set here that has a beautiful background as well as some many stamp sentiments such as hello friend, happy birthday, congratulations. It really runs the full gamut. So I just want to take out the rubber stamp set here and give you a look at the background. What I like about this is that the central diamond in the background stamp pops right out so that you could put a sentiment in the middle or something else. It also allows you to kind of create a focal point on your card, which I will be doing today. And then I also wanted to show you that there is another stamp. It's kind of a square. Actually, it's more of a diamond. It's not exactly square. And that fits perfectly right in the middle of that background. So you can create the focal point with a border, which I really like the flexibility of this. I won't be using this diamond stamp in today's card, but I will definitely be using it in the future. I see myself using this background stamp a lot going forward. Now to start the card making process, I will begin by die cutting all of the pieces of the bird bath. I've laid out 3 different shades of gray cardstock here. I'll call the one on the left gray 1, the one in the center gray 2, and the one on the right gray 3. I've selected the dies that I want cut out of each of those shades of gray, and some of these pieces will be double die cut. So I'll explain that once I have all of the pieces laid out. So here on the left, you'll see the pieces cut out of gray 1. In the middle, we have gray 2, and on the left, just that one piece out of gray 3. So I did need to die cut a few pieces twice, but hopefully this will be a good guide for you to understand. I also, in my hands here, have some metallic paper that I used to cut out the water pieces. Now I'll begin assembling. So first, I'm taking the gray 3 kind of main water bowl portion, and I'm using some Barely Arts liquid glue to adhere that to the main bird bath base. I think with this die set, it takes a little bit of figuring out what piece should be in what kind of shade. So this one, I chose to do this in the darkest shade. Also, you'll notice that I'm sticking with all grays, but you can get really creative with the colors here. I just wanted to keep it pretty simple. I'll also say that you can add detail by using Copic markers, ink blending, colored pencils. But again, I wanted to keep this one pretty simple, especially since I was planning to do quite a bold background full of colors. So next is the rim of the bird bath. This is in gray 1, and this is actually the outer layer of the kind of water shaped die. So it took me a little bit of figuring out to notice that that was where that piece was coming from. So it's like the most oblong skinny die in the set. The outermost layer is that rim, and then there's like multiple other layers within that can be water. And I would say that with that piece you could do multiple colors of cardstock that make up your water, but like I said, I used a metallic blue, which you'll see in a little bit. Now I'm going ahead and gluing down the little detail pieces on that main bird bath shape. I wasn't sure which gray this should be out of. I ended up doing gray number 2, which is kind of that middle tone gray, but you can definitely do whatever you want with these pieces. So those are pretty straightforward. There are embossed lines, and you're just sticking them right in between those lines. So there is a pretty solid guide. And I love that with Honeybee Stamps dies. They do a pretty good job making embossed lines, so when you die cut out the pieces, you have guides of where things are supposed to go. So with those pieces all on, I move on to the little details on the, what I'm calling the stem of the bird bath, or the base. So this is gray 1, our lightest shade, and these are just the details. So again, you could definitely get playful and add some color here. This would be a great opportunity for that. I'm just lining them up again as the die kind of shows you where they're supposed to go. Now, this bird bath honestly could just be done here if you wanted it to be a smaller piece. If you were putting it into more of a scene where you didn't want it to take up too much space on your card, I think this looks like a completed bird bath by itself. But there are a few more pieces, and those add to the base to make it a little bit more elevated and elegant. Imagine you were in an estate garden. This is what I would imagine that bird bath would look like. So these pieces I did die cut twice because they create the main base circle as well as a front piece. And that's really just to create shadows and dimension by layering all the different colors of cardstock. So first I'm going with, this is gray 1, the lighter one, and that will create kind of, I guess I would say, I would imagine how the sun is hitting the bird bath. So the top of this base would be lit by the sun, but then the front of it would be in the shadow. So that's out of gray 2. And then I'll do, that just repeats for the bottommost base where you're doing gray 1 with the larger piece and then gray 2 for the front. Lastly, I need to add the water in. Now, the water should have been added second or like right away, but I wasn't sure how it was actually going to line up, and I was just trying to figure it all out. So right here, I'm using my tweezers to kind of create space between the layers of paper so that I can stick the outermost ring of the water dye in. This took some finagling, so I recommend just doing this right away. I wasn't sure which layers were supposed to be included or whatever. So when die cutting the water, it's just the outermost layer, that's the rim of the bird bath, and then all the rest I used as water. So I'm kind of shoving this in there. I'm using my tweezers and my fingertips, and then I'll just put a little bit of glue underneath and then glue the innermost water rings right in there. I do love the texture that this adds, having all the different layers here, and also using the metallic blue paper makes it look like you're kind of looking in like a reflecting pond. So I really love the effect of this. So that is my bird bath complete. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think will be super cute on my card. So this set also includes some birds. I'll be honest, I'm in my birding era. I'm really into birds right now. So I made 3 birds. The left and right ones are Baltimore Orioles. You'll notice that by the gold or the orange gold feathers. And then the middle one is a goldfinch. They're not completely accurate, but I did as well as I could. But of course, this is the most fun part where you can add in any colors you'd like. And each bird is just 2 layers. And they cut out all at once, which I think is really great. So again, I'm just using liquid glue to glue those all together. And tweezers are a must with this because the pieces are so tiny. So then I'll just move on to the background of my card. I have my MISTI stamping tool out here, and I have all of the like the foam pad and the paper pad removed from the left side because I am using this rubber stamp, which is a bit thicker. I'm lining that up on my MISTI on the right side first because it's going to be easier for me to line up the cardstock with the stamp than to line up the stamp with the cardstock. So you'll see here I'm putting my cardstock piece right on top of that. Now this cardstock piece is slightly smaller than an A2 card front. It's actually 3 3/4 by 5, and that fits right within that background stamp. I'm just taking some temporary tape and I'm rolling that right onto this, what is the back of this card front. And then I'm going to bring the bottom of my MISTI up and I'll press that down onto the stamp. And so that will just line up the cardstock on the left side with the stamp on the right side. Now I will be doing heat embossing on this piece, so I'm going in with my anti-static prep powder tool, and I'm just putting that all over the entire card front. And then I'm taking some VersaMark ink and I'll add that to my stamp. This is a nice sticky ink, and it will allow the embossing powder to stick to the stamped image. I should mention all of the products that I'm using in today's video are available at ScrapbookPal.com, and they're linked down in the description below. So be sure to check that out if there's anything that catches your eye. Now I'm pressing this down because it's a rubber stamp. I need to apply a lot of pressure. So I get out my Pinkfresh Studio stamping tool, and I'm pressing that down with a lot of force. I will end up stamping this twice just to make sure I have a perfect stamped image, and so that the embossing powder has the precise stamped image to stick to. Now to do the heat embossing, I have just a piece of printer paper here on my craft mat, and I'm just using that to catch all of the excess powder. I'm going in with a clear embossing powder today to create a tone-on-tone effect with a glossy finish. You could definitely just do regular stamping with this background stamp. That would be perfectly lovely, but I did want that added texture of the heat embossing. So I'm just trying to hold the card front where there's not any stamping, and then I'm pouring the embossing powder over top, making sure to fill in all of the spaces and just tapping off any excess. You'll see I have a bit of excess powder right in the center where my finger was. I'll just grab a dry paintbrush and brush that right away. And because we use that anti-static powder, I shouldn't have any issues with the powder sticking where I don't want it. Now I'll bring my heat gun to this card front. Obviously, because there is stamping and powder all the way around the outside, there's not really a good place to grab onto it. So I just have it laying on my glass craft mat. And I'll keep the heat gun moving to avoid warping as much as possible. And just keep going until the powder is smooth and melted. I love seeing this transition of it looks like white powder until it melts and becomes this dark green, when in reality it's really just clear on the green cardstock. But yeah, so just keep going until it's smooth and melted. And then you don't see this on camera, but I also went over the back a little bit with my heat gun just to make sure it kind of evens out the warping so it lays flat. And I didn't end up having any problems with that. So that finishes the background. It's a really simple background with that gorgeous background stamp. It makes it really easy to put together a really pretty background to a card. I'm just taking my bird bath and I put some foam tape on the back of that to pop it up on this card front for the perfect amount of dimension. And then I will just glue on my little birds. So those are being glued right to the rim of the bird bath. You could definitely put some around in the background too. I think that would be really cute, but I just stuck to the 3 right on top of the bird bath. Now I also put foam tape on the back of this card front, and that will be popped up right onto an A2 card base. I already have that folded here and ready to go, and that's in that same exact green color. I love doing the tone-on-tone layers like this because I think it just makes it look so elegant. It adds more of a dramatic effect than having a white background. Now I have my sentiment die cut in my mini MISTI here, and I have a sticky mat behind that so it kind of stays in place, but it needs a little reinforcing with some magnets. But I just like to die cut my sentiment first and then line up the stamp with the die cut. It's much easier to me than trying to die cut out something I already stamped. So I just am picking that up in my MISTI. Originally, I was going to heat emboss this also so it matched the background exactly, but the stamp is just so detailed that the powder couldn't handle it. It needed to be something, I needed to use a black ink that would capture all of the small letters. So I actually just ended up using amalgam black ink from Gina K Designs, and that is the perfect black ink for this. And honestly, the black doesn't stand out. I thought it would contrast too much from the rest of the card, but it actually looks like it matches the background really well. So I'm really happy with that. Now, because the bird bath is popped up, this sentiment strip needed some dimension also, but it's too small to try to put foam tape all over the back. So instead, I die cut out the sentiment shape 3 times out of heavyweight white cardstock, and then I just stack those up with glue to add dimension behind the sentiment. Now, this does mean a little bit of white peeks through at certain angles when looking at the card. If that's something that bothers you, definitely just use the same color green in this case, so that you don't have that different color. The only reason I didn't do that is because the green is a much lighter weight cardstock, and it would take a lot of layers of that to get the dimension that I wanted. So I do have 3 layers of the heavyweight white cardstock behind the green sentiment strip. And then this is just glued right down onto my card. I absolutely love how this card turned out. I think this is going to be my Father's Day card for the year. It's a really elegant and yet somewhat masculine card. I know my dad loves greenery. He loves the birds and nature as well. So I think this will be a really great fit for that. I feel like these sets were kind of geared towards Mother's Day, but here's a great way to use it for Father's Day as well. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel because there's always new creative inspiration here all the time. If you have any questions about today's card design, be sure to ask it down in the comments below, and I will be back again with another card design soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!